The sick child's cry rain fell hard on the metal roofs of the alien slums. The streets were muddy, filled with trash and broken machines. A weak cry came from a small corner, hidden behind rusted walls. Lerna, a thin alien woman with dark green skin and tired purple eyes, sat on a torn blanket. In her arms she held her son, barely 4 cycles old. His small body shook with every breath. His skin had lost its color. His eyes were half closed, and his chest rose too slow. "Stay with me," Lerna whispered, pressing her forehead too. "Sirisu, please, just a little longer." The child coughed, a sound that broke her heart each time. His name was Neo. He had been strong once, always laughing, always running. But last week he caught something. A fever. A virus. Something cruel that spread in the dirty water they drank. She had already gone to 3 clinics. Each time they slammed the doors shut when they saw her face. "No aliens here. Go back to your kind. This is human medicine." But Lerna had no kind anymore. Her people were dead or scattered. Her home world was dust. All she had left was Neo, and he was slipping away in her arms. Her hands were shaking. Her legs were weak. She hadn't eaten for 2 days, but she wrapped Neo in her only warm cloth, stood up, and stepped out into the rain. In the same broken city, a human man walked through the night. His name was Ray. He was tall, rough-looking, and wore an old jacket full of holes. He worked in the scrapyards nearby. Not rich, not powerful, but kind. As he passed the old trash tunnels, he heard something. A sound so soft it could have been the wind. But then he heard it again. A cry. A small, desperate child's cry. Ray stopped. He turned his head. His instincts told him to keep walking. "It's none of your business," he whispered to himself. But the cry didn't stop. Ray moved toward the sound. He pushed aside a broken gate, and there, beneath a sheet of metal, he saw her. A strange figure sat in the mud, soaked from head to toe. Her arms were wrapped around a small bundle. "Hey!" Ray called out. "Are you okay?" The figure didn't respond. Ray stepped closer, and then he saw her face. Alien, but not dangerous, just tired, wet, shaking. Then he saw the child, and his heart dropped. "Is he breathing?" Ray asked. Lerna looked up at him with hollow eyes. "Not for long." Ray knelt beside her. "What happened?" "No food, no clean water, no medicine," she said softly. "I tried everywhere. They all said no, he needs help. But I have nothing." Ray's hand reached toward the boy's tiny chest. He felt the weak rise and fall. "I know a clinic nearby," he said. "They will not help," Lerna whispered. "They hate us." Ray stood up. "Then I'll make them." He gently lifted the child from her arms. The boy's body was burning. His breath was shallow. Lerna tried to stand. Her knees gave out. Ray turned back, held out his hand. "Come on, you're not alone now." The rain kept falling as Ray ran through the streets, carrying the sick alien child in his arms. Lerna followed behind him, weak but not stopping. They reached the first clinic. Ray banged on the door. A nurse opened a small hatch. "We don't treat aliens," she said coldly. Ray didn't move. "This is a child. He's dying." "I don't make the rules," she replied. The hatch closed. Ray turned to Lerna. "We'll try another." The second clinic was worse. They didn't even open the door. At the third, Ray screamed louder. "He needs help." But again they were turned away. Lerna sank to her knees on the sidewalk. Her shoulders shook. "He's going to die." Ray looked at her, then at the boy. "No," he said. "He won't." She looked up. "How do you know?" Ray knelt beside her. His voice was quiet but strong. "Because I won't let it happen." The boy whimpered, a tiny sound from his dry lips. And in that cold, cruel night with no one else in sight, one human made a promise to a desperate mother. "I'll save your son, even if the whole world says no." The closed doors rain had stopped, but the city still smelled of metal, oil, and sadness. Ray ran fast, holding the burning child against his chest. His arms hurt, but he didn't stop. Behind him, Lorna struggled to keep up, her legs shaking with every step. She had no strength left, but she followed because that child in Ray's arms was her world. They reached the first clinic. A bright red light blinked above the door. Ray pounded hard. A small panel opened. A human face appeared. Tired eyes, bored expression. Ray lifted the child slightly. He's dying. He needs help. The man's eyes narrowed. That's not human, is it? Ray didn't answer. The man shook his head. Then no, we don't treat outsiders. Orders from above. Click, the panel shut. Ray cursed under his breath. They won't even look at him. Lorna leaned against a wall, coughing. I told you. They see us as filth. No, Ray muttered. You're a mother, and he's a child. That should be enough. He looked down at the child again. His small lips were blue now. At the second clinic, a woman opened the door just a crack. Her white coat shined under the lights. Ray begged. He has a fever, high one. He can't breathe right. He's a kid, for God's sake. The nurse saw the child, and her face turned cold. We can't waste resources, she said quietly. Waste? Ray shouted. He's alive. He's right here. He's not one of us, she whispered, then shut the door slowly. Ray's hand curled into a fist. For a moment he wanted to break something, but he looked at the child, that tiny chest rising slower now. He had no time to be angry. Clinic. 3 had tall gates, shiny windows, and 2 armed guards. Ray didn't even ask politely this time. Let me in, he said. The guard stepped forward. Only registered humans get treatment here. Open the doors. Or what? The guard mocked. You'll punch your way into surgery? Ray slowly took a deep breath. Then he lowered his head and said, Do you have kids? The guard didn't answer. Ray pointed at Lorna. That's a mother. That's her child. If this was your baby. The second guard cut him off. But he's not. He's hers, and she's not one of us. Ray's hands trembled. He held the boy tighter, then something inside him snapped. Not with rage, but with decision. Fine, he said. I'll find another way. Ray and Lorna walked in silence. She could barely walk now. The child's breath was slower, softer. She collapsed near a quiet alley, coughing up blood. Ray sat beside her. I should have stayed hidden, Lorna whispered. I should have let him sleep in peace. Ray looked at her. What kind of mother says that? A mother who has no hope left. Ray didn't like to feel helpless, but right now he was. The system was broken, cold, full of rules that forgot mercy. He stood and looked at the stars above. One blinked red, another blue. Then he turned back to Lorna. There's a man, he said. Not part of the system. A doctor who disappeared after the war. People say he hides in the ruins, still helping those who can't pay. Lorna looked up with tired eyes. You trust him? I don't know, Ray answered, but I'll trust anyone who listens. They reached the outer walls of the city, where the buildings were broken and rusted, where few dared to go. Lorna held the child again. He wasn't moving much. Ray lit a small flare and waved it high. He remembered something a traveler once told him. Shine a red light in the dark and the doctor may come. Minutes passed. Nothing happened. Then, footsteps. A cloaked figure walked out of the shadows, tall, covered in dust. A long scarf wrapped around their face. The figure said nothing, just stood still. Ray stepped forward. We need help. The child is dying. We were turned away from every clinic. The figure didn't speak. Ray's voice broke. Please, he's just a kid. He doesn't care about rules. He just wants to live. A moment of silence. Then the figure raised a hand and pointed. Follow me. Ray exhaled deeply. Thank you. They entered an old underground lab filled with broken machines and dusty shelves. The doctor finally removed her scarf. She wasn't human. Ray stared, shocked. You're... The doctor nodded. Ex-military. I once treated both sides. That made me an enemy to all. Now I treat whoever comes. She knelt beside Lerna and examined the child. Severe infection. Needs advanced antiviral serum. I have 1 dose left. But it's expired. Lerna gasped. Then it's over? The doctor shook her head. There's one more option. The main stock still exists in the human vault guarded tight. You'd need clearance or risk everything. Ray didn't hesitate. Tell me where. A race against death. Ray's hands were still wet from the rain as he gripped the edge of the old table in the underground lab. The doctor looked at him with tired but sharp eyes. The child has only hours, she said. Maybe less. Lerna sat quietly in the corner holding her son. Neo's skin was pale, his breath soft and fading. Ray looked back at the doctor. Where is the cure? The doctor pointed to a glowing map on the wall. Main medical vault. Sector 7G. It's deep. Inside the human central base, protected, watched, locked. Ray stared at the map. I worked there once, the doctor added, before they called me a traitor. Is it still there? He asked. If they haven't used it all, yes. Ray took a deep breath. Then I'll go. The doctor narrowed her eyes. You'll get arrested, or shot. Ray turned to her and said, let them try. Ray left before sunrise. He didn't take a weapon, only a small chip with the vault's access layout the doctor had given him. It was risky, stupid, even, but he didn't care. Back in the underground lab, Lerna leaned over her son. Her fingers gently stroked his head. You have to stay strong, she whispered. There's a human, and he cares. The boy didn't answer. His eyes were barely open now. Ray reached the gates of the human central base. It looked like a fortress, tall walls, laser turrets, patrol drones. A normal man would have turned away, but Ray had worked in these zones before. He knew where guards got lazy. He moved along a drainage pipe near the east wall, crawled through it. Mud filled his hands, rats ran past his face. But he didn't stop. Inside the base, he hid in the shadows. Cameras blinked red overhead. He stayed low, moving fast. One wrong turn, and he'd be caught. He made it to the storage building, his heart pounding. A small panel glowed near the door. He placed the chip inside. Beep, access denied. Ray cursed under his breath. He opened the chip casing and rewired 2 wires with his knife. Sparks flew. He tried again. Access granted. The door opened with a slow hiss. Inside the vault room, everything was cold. Shelves lined with labeled vials. Most were empty, some had warning signs. Ray moved fast. Finally, he saw it. A silver case marked Serum XR9, Extreme Fever Strain, Alien Use, Denied. He opened the box. Inside were only 2 vials left. He took one, placed it safely in his jacket. Stop right there. A spotlight hit his back. Ray froze. 2 guards aimed rifles at him. One stepped forward. What do you think you're doing? The guard growled. Ray turned slowly. There's a child. He's dying. So? Is he human? No. The guard smirked. Then, let him die. Ray's eyes narrowed. He's just a kid. The second guard stepped closer. You broke in, stole restricted meds, that's prison for 10 years. Ray took a breath. If I leave now, you can forget you saw me. You think that works on us? No, Ray said softly. But I think you'd rather not shoot a man carrying a cure. The guards hesitated. In that split second, Ray threw a flash flare to the ground. Boom! Light exploded. The guards screamed, covering their eyes. Ray ran. Bullets chased him. He ducked under pipes, rolled down a maintenance shaft, and limped through a forgotten hallway. One laser beam grazed his side, but he didn't stop. He held the vial tightly. Outside the walls, he collapsed beside the ruined road. Blood ran from his shoulder, but the vial was safe. Ray stood back up, clenched his jaw, and whispered, "Not stopping now." Back in the ruins, the doctor checked Neo's pulse. We're losing him. Lorna's hands trembled. Please, please. Then, the door burst open. Ray stumbled in, dirty, bleeding, but smiling. I got it, he said, holding the vial high. The doctor rushed over. Is it real? Ray nodded. Without a second wasted, the doctor injected the serum into the child's arm. Everyone held their breath. 1 second, 2, 10, nothing. Then, a twitch. Neo's fingers curled slightly. His chest rose deeper. His eyes fluttered open. Mama, he whispered weakly. Lorna gasped. She grabbed him, crying softly. You came back? Ray sat down, finally breathing again. Told you. I'd bring it. The healer in hiding. The fire crackled in the corner of the underground room. Neo lay on a cot now, his little body still weak, but warm and breathing steady. Lorna sat beside him, brushing his hair softly. Her eyes were red, but this time from relief, not pain. Ray sat on the floor, pressing a cloth to his wounded arm. Blood had slowed, but the burn hurt. Across from him, the strange doctor worked with quiet hands, mixing herbs into steaming water. The room smelled of bitter roots and ash. You could have died, the doctor finally said. Ray looked up, tired, but calm. Then I would have, but he would have lived. The doctor didn't smile, but something in her eyes softened. You're human, she said. Yet you risked everything for a child not your own. For an alien child. Ray met her gaze. So what? That boy didn't ask to be born. He didn't start a war. He didn't choose to suffer. Lorna looked at Ray, eyes wide. She had never heard a human speak like that. Not once. Not ever. The doctor leaned back, folding her arms. You know, I used to heal soldiers during the border wars, she said. Human and alien. Both. I thought medicine didn't care about race, but the leaders did. So they called me a traitor. Said I betrayed my own kind. She touched her chest, over the faded symbol of the old alliance. I ran. I hid. Now I heal. Who I can, quietly. But I've never seen anyone like you. Brave or foolish. Ray smirked. Little of both, maybe. The next morning, the air in the ruins was strangely peaceful. Neo sat up weakly and ate broth from a small bowl. His mother fed him slowly, eyes never leaving his face, as if afraid he might disappear again. Ray stood near the old stairs, staring at the broken sky above. Gray clouds moved fast. Somewhere far away, alarms were still going off in the city. They'll come for me, he said. The doctor joined him. You're a fugitive now. I know. You could run. I won't. Why not? Ray looked back at the small alien boy laughing with his mother. Because I finally did something that mattered. That night, 3 people knocked on the doctor's hidden door. All aliens. One with a broken arm, one carrying a baby with a fever, one shaking from infection. Lorna looked at them in shock. How did you find this place? She asked. One woman replied, We heard there's a human who helped an alien child. A doctor who heals without asking for money. Is it true? Ray stepped forward. It's true. Come in. The doctor stared at Ray. What are you doing? Ray smiled faintly. You helped save one life. Let's try saving more. The next few days changed everything. More aliens came, quietly, carefully, asking for help. The doctor worked day and night. Ray helped clean wounds, carried water, made fires. Lorna stayed by her son's side but helped when she could. For the first time in years, the ruins were not silent. They were alive. But peace never lasts long. One evening, a shadow moved near the ruins, then another. Ray noticed first. His instincts, sharper now. Someone's here, he whispered. They hid the patients and dimmed the lights. Voices echoed from above. Search everything. That human's in here somewhere. It was the guards, the same ones from the vault. Ray looked at the doctor. Get the others out through the tunnels. What about you? She asked. I'll hold them off. Buy you time. No, Lerna said suddenly. She stood, holding her son. You're not dying for us. Ray shook his head. I'm not dying. I'm distracting. He picked up a metal pipe and moved toward the main door. Outside, the guard spotted him. That's him. That's the thief. Ray ran across the rubble, leading them away from the others. Shots rang out. One hit a rock near his foot. Another grazed his side, but he kept running, faster, louder, making noise. The guards followed, deeper into the ruins, and just like that, the others escaped. An hour later, Ray stumbled back, bleeding but alive. The doctor treated his wound in silence. Lerna cleaned the blood from his shirt. I told you not to die, she whispered. Ray smiled. I kept my promise. The forbidden vault 3 days had passed since the escape. The underground clinic was now hidden deeper, behind shattered train tunnels and thick vines. The doctor had moved her supplies. Ray had helped build barriers and tunnels using old cargo doors. But everyone knew this was temporary. They're not giving up, the doctor said one night, scanning a broken news screen. There's now a price on your head, Ray. Ray didn't react. How much? 50,000 credits. Dead or alive? He smirked. Guess I'm popular. Lerna, sitting beside Neo, spoke up. We can leave this planet. There are ships, illegal ones. I've heard whispers. Ray shook his head. And what about the others here? The sick aliens with no ship, no money, no hope? I leave, they die, the doctor added softly. He's right. Something bigger has started. The authorities are watching now. They know medicine was taken for aliens. Ray looked down at the old vial he had stolen. There was one more inside the vault. One more that could save a life. Maybe two. His voice turned serious. Then we take it. The doctor blinked. You want to go back to the vault? Ray nodded. This time, not alone. Late that night under the ruins, a small group gathered. 2 humans from the scrapyards, friends of Ray, 3 aliens from the underground, people whose lives were once saved by the doctor, and Lerna. She refused to be left behind. Ray laid out the plan on a dusty table. He drew lines with chalk, pointed to vents, gates, and laser paths. We go in through the supply tunnel, here, he said. It's never guarded. It connects to the lower vault level. The serum chamber is protected, but I've been there, I know the door. Security's tighter now, one man warned. Ray nodded. That's why we move quiet. No noise, no killing. What if they shoot? Another asked. Ray looked him in the eyes. Then we run, or we fall. But we don't stop. The next evening, while the city watched a fireworks parade celebrating Human Unity Day, Ray and his team moved. Covered in dust and old blankets, they crawled through the abandoned sewer pipe. The smell was worse than death. One alien threw up. Another slipped and almost drowned. But Ray led them forward, one step, one breath at a time. They reached the vault building from underneath. Just as Ray had said, there was a small hatch, rusty but real. It led straight to the lower levels. He turned the handle slowly. Stay close, no talking. They entered the forbidden place inside. Blinking lights lined the cold metal halls. Cameras spun slowly, but Ray timed them right. They ducked under shadows, crawled across pipes, and reached the inner chamber. The final door stood in front of them, sealed tight. Lerna touched the scanner. This needs a key. Ray reached into his boot. He pulled out a data chip. Stole this from the doctor's archive. He plugged it in. Beep point access denied. His heart sank. Then, he remembered. The backup port, he whispered. He pulled the panel off and rewired the chip like before. Click. The door opened slowly. They stepped in. The room glowed with blue lights. Shelves filled with vials shimmered like stars. Ray ran forward. Yes, he said. There, 2 vials left. He picked one up and placed it gently in a box. The second one, he gave to Lerna. Hold it tight. Don't drop it. Just then, alarms blared. Red lights flashed. Voices shouted over speakers. Intruders detected in vault sector. Ray froze. How? One man yelled. They must have added motion traps, the doctor whispered. Footsteps echoed outside the chamber. We have to go, someone shouted. Ray looked at the vials, then at the exit. No time to run back. Plan B, he said. He pressed a button on the wall, one that said, Emergency Cargo Drop. What are you doing? Lerna cried. Changing the path. The wall beside them split open, a chute leading down into the trash bay. Ray turned. Jump, now. One by one, they slid down the dirty metal chute. It stank of old chemicals, oil, and broken machines. They landed hard on a pile of scrap, but they were alive. The vials were safe. Sirens were still screaming far above. Lerna clutched the serum. Her eyes were wide with fear, but also something else. Hope. Later that night, back in the ruins, the doctor stored the vials in a freezer. She looked at Ray. You're insane, she said. Ray smiled. But effective. Lerna walked over and gently placed a hand on his arm. You're not just a human, she whispered. You're our hope now. Ray didn't answer, but deep inside he knew something had changed. This wasn't just about one child anymore. It was about all of them, between life and death. The underground. Clinic was silent. Even the wind outside had stopped. Inside, only the faint sound of breathing could be heard, and not all of it was steady. 3 children lay side by side on the floor, each wrapped in old cloth. Their bodies were hot to the touch, their lips dry, their eyes barely open. Neo was one of them. The brave little boy who had survived once was slipping again. Lerna knelt beside him, her fingers brushing his cheek. Not again, she whispered. Please, not again. The other 2 children were from the newest group of refugees, siblings, their mother already gone. The doctor said all 3 were infected with the red fever, the last stage, and now they had only 2 vials left. Ray stood in the back of the room, his hands clenched. He had fought soldiers, broken into the vault, saved lives. But this felt harder than any mission. Only 2 doses, 3 dying children. One had to be left out. The doctor leaned over her desk, shaking her head. They all need it within the hour. If we wait longer, all 3 could die. Lerna looked at her son, then at the 2 other children, then she stood up slowly. Give it to them, she said. The room froze. Ray stepped forward. Lerna, what? She didn't look at him. You saved my son once, that was a miracle, but now, he's already tired. He's not fighting anymore. Those 2 still are. Ray shook his head. We don't give up like this. He's not giving up, Lerna whispered. He's just tired. She knelt beside Neo again and kissed his forehead. It's okay, baby. Mama is proud of you. The doctor opened the case and lifted the first vial. Ray placed his hand on hers. Wait. The room went quiet. I'll take the blame, he said. If someone has to decide who lives or dies, let it be me. No, Lerna said. This is a mother's choice. Then a soft sound broke the silence. Mom? Neo's voice. Barely a whisper, but real. Lerna gasped and leaned over him. I'm here, she said, tears filling her eyes. You're still here. Ray rushed to Neo's side. The boy was awake, eyes weak but open. Ray looked at the doctor. Can he make it with just a half dose? The doctor blinked. Maybe, but it's risky. Split it, Ray said. 1 full for the girl, half for each boy. It's not protocol. There is no protocol in hell, Ray snapped. We try or we lose all 3. The doctor hesitated, then nodded. Time slowed. The first injection went to the girl. Her fever was highest. She cried out once, then went still. Breathing steadied, then the second vial was divided. 2 smaller syringes. The doctor gave one to Neo. Lerna held him tight, whispering into his ear. You're strong. You're my star. Come back to me. The last shot was given to the other boy. His older sister held his hand, trembling. Then, everyone waited. 5 minutes, 10. No change. The doctor bit her lip. Maybe it's too late. Then, the little girl coughed, then gasped. She's breathing better, her brother cried. Neo blinked, then moaned. His hand twitched. Lerna broke down in silent tears. The third child didn't move. His chest rose, then paused. Everyone stared. One more breath, then another. Ray leaned against the wall, closing his eyes. All 3. Hours passed. The children were resting now, colors returning to their skin. The doctor poured hot tea into cups with shaky hands. I've been healing for 30 years, she said softly, but I've never seen anything like this. Ray took the cup. You mean 3 kids coming back from the edge? She nodded. No, I mean the kindness that brought them back. That night, Lerna didn't sleep. She sat near the fire, holding Neo in her arms. His body was warm now, his chest steady. Ray came to her side, quiet. She looked at him and said, "You didn't just save my son. You saved my soul." Ray looked at the child, peaceful at last. "I didn't do it alone," he replied. Lerna gently took Ray's hand. "I used to pray someone would hear me in the dark," she whispered. "I didn't think it would be a human." Ray didn't know what to say, so he just held her hand back. The human who cared morning light broke gently over the ruins. It touched the broken walls, the rusted roofs, and the small underground doorway that had become a place of healing. Inside, laughter echoed, a soft, sweet sound that had not been heard. Here in years, Neo was sitting up now, smiling weakly as he tried to sip warm soup. His voice was still raspy, but his eyes were bright. Beside him, the 2 other children giggled as they chased each other across the dusty floor, their sickness now only a fading memory. And standing in the doorway, watching them all, was Ray. He held a cup of tea and breathed in slowly. The pain in his shoulder had faded. The wound was healing. But the weight in his heart, that was something else, something heavier and beautiful. The doctor joined him at the door. "They're going to be fine," she said. Ray nodded. "You said that yesterday. I say it again today, because it still feels like a miracle." Ray glanced back at the kids. "It wasn't a miracle, it was a choice." The doctor tilted her head. "Not many make that choice." "That's the problem," Ray said. "Too many watch others suffer and do nothing." She studied him. "And you, what will you do now?" Ray shrugged. "I'm a wanted man, no job, no ID, no future." "But you have a purpose." Ray looked over at Lerna. She was kneeling beside her son, feeding him with gentle hands. Her eyes lit up every time he smiled. Her lips whispered songs from a language Ray couldn't understand, but somehow felt. He smiled faintly. "Yeah, maybe I do." Word began to spread. Not through news screens, not through broadcasts, but quietly, through whispers, through stories shared in back alleys, markets, hidden corners. They say a human brought medicine for dying alien children. They say a forgotten doctor saved 3 lives in one night. They say someone still cares. Refugees came slowly, not in crowds, 1 or 2 at a time. Sick mothers, lost children, broken fathers. They came, hoping to be seen, hoping to matter. Ray helped them all. He became the builder, the guard, the runner, the cook, and Lerna? She became something more. One evening, Lerna found Ray sitting beside the small fire. He was carving something from scrap metal, shaping it into a pendant. A small star. She sat beside him. "For someone?" He smiled. "For Neo. He said he wants to be a star pilot one day." She watched him work, quiet for a moment. Then she asked softly, "Do you miss your world?" Ray paused. "Sometimes. But I didn't really have anyone waiting for me there." She looked at him, her voice trembling. And if someone waits here? He met her eyes. I'm already home. Weeks passed. One night, heavy footsteps approached the ruins. Ray grabbed a pipe and stood ready. But this time, it wasn't guards. It was a group of humans, not soldiers, not officers, workers, mechanics, helpers. We heard what you did, their leader said. We didn't know aliens were being turned away like that. Ray lowered his pipe. And now you do? The man nodded. Some of us want to help. It was a beginning, a small crack in a big wall. But a crack was enough to let the light in. That same night, Lerna sat with Neo under the stars. Ray lay nearby, resting. Neo asked, Mama, is he my papa now? Lerna smiled softly. Would you like him to be? Neo nodded. He's not scary. He made the bad nights go away. Lerna looked over at Ray, dirty hands, tired eyes, soft smile. Then she whispered, Yes, he's family now. Ray never went back to his old life. He didn't need to. He had something better now. A purpose. A place. A boy who called him Papa. And a woman, once desperate, once broken, who now looked at him like he was the brightest star in her sky. In a galaxy full of walls, war, and silence, one man cared, and that changed everything. The end.